Hello and welcome. This will be a quick one, how to draw the side profile of a human being and using the Andrew Loomis method popularized and founded by Andrew Loomis himself. And so with that, it starts by drawing a circle. I'm going to draw a big circle so that you can see. All right. Then after that, I'm going to draw another circle just inside the other circle. Doesn't have to be very perfect because some of this will be deleted. Then I'm going to subdivide this circle into different sections. First of all, I'm going to subdivide it into two, that is horizontally. Then I'm going to do it vertically. All right, then I'm going to subdivide the halves into thirds, and I'm going to use the inner circle as a guideline. So from here, I'm going to draw hairline. This I'm going to call it a hairline. Right. Then after that, I'm going to rename this as the brow line, which is the line subdividing the circle into two halves horizontally. Then I'm going to draw another line somewhere here, and this is the nose line. Then I'm going to extend a line from the brow line down, and this is how I'm going to do it. Should be parallel to this one if the subject is just horizontally facing without facing up or down. Then I'm going to measure the distance between from here, like brow line and nose line, and this will be the same distance from the nose line, and I'll call this the chin line. So this will be the chin line. Once I am done with that, the next will be to map the face and make sure that it's in the right order. So from this line, I'm going to join here the chin line, which I'm going to just extend inside. Then I'm going to join it with the nose, this line which subdivides the face into two. Then since this is a nose line, I'm going to extend it outside, and then I am going to protrude this and join with a brow line somewhere here. But remember, since the human face has an inside curve, you can curve it inside. Then after that, you can now extrude it depending on the nose of the subject. Remember, this is going to the nose line. After the nose line, the next will be the mouth line, and the mouth line sits between the nose line and the chin line. And for that, I'm going to curve this. You can draw something like this, curve it inside and then outside. Then after that, you can curve it inside. Then after that, you can now bring it down. And from the way I'm looking, I'm seeing as if my chin line is too big, so I can just delete some of the chin line, and of course this line. And let me just assume that my chin line goes up to here. Then I can now join the chin line to this vertical line somewhere here. After that, the next thing will be the brow line. I'm going to draw the brow line something like this. You can extend it up a little bit, then inside, curve it down a little bit, but this depends of course on the subject. When it comes to the ears, I like doing it from here where there is this intersection. I'm going to bring it up and curve it down and bring it somewhere close to the nose line. All right, now from here you can draw it the way you think the nose line should sit, but of course this is how I like to draw it, to keep it as simple as I can for now. The next thing will be the eyes. The eye sits just below the brow line. So when it comes to the eyes, I like doing it like something like a convex, so I can draw it something like this. Then after that, assuming this is the eyes. Then this is the hairline. So for the hairline, I can assume that it goes just inside up to a point like this. Then it comes inside as if it's like curving towards the eyes. Then it goes back, right? Then you can bring it back here. Then after that, again, you can curve it back, assuming this is the hairline and the structure of the hair of the subject. So remember, all these lines are not important anymore because we've mapped the faces. The next will be to continue with this drawing. Remember, we don't even need this because now all this is the hair. So you can, of course, now draw the hair of the person, and you can draw it depending on the hair of the subject that you're drawing. And I hope that you've seen this guide very helpful. Remember, you can draw the wrinkles if you want, if your subject has wrinkles, and you can also draw these jaw lines. This is just a guideline. If it's the neck, you can just extend a line like this and bring it somewhere down. Then for the head, you can bring it down here, and then go and then take it wherever you want. So for me, I'm just going to, assuming that my subject is ending there. So basically, this is how you draw the side profile of a human being, especially a male, using the Andrew Loomis method. And I'll see you in the next one. Until next time, bye.